All right, say something now.
Mic check.
1, 2.
All right.
But I have an echo. You're messing with me. You're messing with me.
What's
Yeah,
going on, man?
but I'm good. I'm good, but I still got an echo. Let me disconnect and reconnect.
Sure.
Okay, what about now?
Good. I can hear you fine. How about you?
Yeah, I still hear myself repeated. All right, well, if you guys don't mind that,
Well, I don't hear
we'll
you
just,
repeated, so I don't know about
yeah.
everybody else.
Kevin Porter makes a joke about this, that I'm responding like an echo.
Oh, you gotta move. You gotta move like a shadow then too. Huh?
So listen, did you realize that we were on almost a year ago?
Was it?
Episode 13 was August 10th of 2018.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. Well, you said this was 81, and that's my number, so that's pretty good.
All right. I was going to ask you this at the end. So explain that. What do you mean 81 is your number?
8 + 1 = 9. It's a great Taoist number.
What trigram do you have on your ring finger?
That's the Phoenix. That's my wife, and that's that. And then the one on my hand is the hexagram, and that's number 34, which means absolute power. So the saying behind it is conquering others makes you powerful, but you conquer yourself, it makes you fearless. And so direct your energy in the right place. Don't waste it, and don't self-implode.
Okay, so my idea that it was an I Ching trigram is incorrect. It's something
No, it is.
different.
It is.
It
You
is.
know, these are I Ching trigrams. So
Okay.
each of this is for the let's see, Phoenix is I think it's each trigram has an element, and each trigram also has an animal associated with it.
Okay.
So like on my hexagram over here, if you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, right? That's the top one, and then 1, 2, 3. That's the second one. So it has a martial meaning and a philosophical meaning. On the martial side, the first 1, 2, 3, that's your mentality. So everybody that you know has a certain mentality of a certain shape and a certain element. So here, this is the dragon, which is the element of thunder. Means it's shifting, adapting, and changing. That's the mind. And
Yeah.
then this lower one is the physicality, and this is the heaven, or the lion trigram. And together they give you number 34, which is absolute power.
Okay. Now, did you ever make a connection between the 8 trigrams and the 8 basics in 3 count or 6 count Kali?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, everything is geometry, right? If you think about it,
Yeah.
even if you look, everything comes in threes, right? The fight comes in threes, heaven and earth comes in threes, the beats come in threes. So everything that you in life, everything comes in threes. There's heaven, man, earth, that comes in threes. So like threes, everything comes in threes, right? So even if you look at the Fibonacci sequence, everything comes in threes. And when you look at even the hexagrams, so one is broken and one is solid, right? So it could be
Yeah.
a watik to a loptik.
Right.
Okay, so it could be watik, loptik, loptik. That would be broken, solid, solid. Or it could be fake, real, real. Or it could be a short cadence and heavy cadence. So it explains lots of things.
Inward, backhand.
Absolutely. You can
Is
make
that-
it fit whatever you want.
Is that why some people become so entranced with Kali?
Because of its limitless options? Is that your
Yeah.
question?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's geometry, right? It's mathematics. So
So it goes on forever.
yeah, because it's a concept. So a concept can't be limited. Once you understand, just like when we take a look at like, you have heaven, you got heaven and earth, you got earth. Those are just like, 3 patterns, but there's actually 64 that you could practice, right? And then you could do it with broken rhythms and you could do it with fakes. So then now you can have 64 to the power of 2 again. And then so, you know, you can change weapons, you can change configurations. So it just can multiply exponentially out. And within that one concept, you have infinite movements within a form. So the form allows you to express formless attributes. And that's really the cool part about Kali or all martial arts really at the end of the day, because within a form, we can learn to be formless. And that teaches us how to adapt to anything in life, really, right? Because adaptability is the key.
Yeah. Okay, so I should do an introduction, shouldn't I? All right. So if you guys are not aware, I'm on with my friend Sifu, Harinder Singh. I love when this happens. You know, and I forget that we're supposed to be all formal and professional and what have you, you know, right? Listen, so let's do this. We realize it's been a year. What's been going up? What's been going on with you?
Lots of things. Where do I start? First and foremost, signing a pretty big deal with Century Martial Arts and with Black Belt Magazine to promote Jeet Kune Do for first on a consumer basis, and then also taking Jeet Kune Do into schools so that we can have more of an advanced program that's built and developed for martial artists of all styles and systems. So like, for example, if you have a karate background or a taekwondo background, one of the biggest problems out there is that when somebody gets to black belt, that's when most schools lose their retention. And also, if you take a look at it, most of Bruce Lee's students, they were already proficient in a certain art beforehand. And Jeet Kune Do is, you could say, an advanced concept. So you got to learn how to punch and kick and control your body, and then you can get the most out of it. So our goal is we started something called Black Belt University, and it's pretty much retention-based curriculums for black belt retention. And with Black Belt Magazine, I launched Jeet Kune Do for Black Belts, which is once again putting the ideas that we are all used to out to the general market to help promote Jeet Kune Do so that they can understand the genius behind what was driving Bruce Lee, about the idea of being formless and shapeless and being able to adapt in all the different ranges, how we can use the tools for street fighting, how we can use the tools and concepts that they can even put into their other systems. And then how do they become a complete martial artist really is what the goal has been for. And I'm completely blessed, super thankful, and it's going to be a huge project that we're working on with the largest company in the world.
Okay, so those who don't know, right? I admire this man greatly. I am in full support of everything that he does. But on today's dialogue, I am going to devil's advocate you a little bit. Okay, so a few weeks ago, you put up a post announcing Jeet Kune Do for black belts. The very first comment was something like this, something stupid like this. Another JKD guy selling out, right? And all you put up was an announcement, right? So you know where I'm going with this.
Sure.
Right? So it is to be expected. It's done from envy and jealousy, right? Those comments, right? But how do you deal with that, or does it even like come across your radar?
Well, you know, Dwight, I'd be lying if I told you that comments like that didn't bother me. They just don't hang around too long. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I think something like that happens, you're like, come on, man, we're on the same team, and then boom, you let it go, because I don't want my energy to be wasted or drained. And if somebody hasn't bought the product, doesn't know who I am, and they're just commenting online, then guess what? They're also valued. They can express their opinion. And the thing that happens is that if I allow that opinion to bother me, and then I feed that energy, and then I'm draining my energy. So, you know, at the end of the day, I'm doing my best. I know that. I don't need validation from somebody else, because I know I put my heart and soul into it. And my purpose behind it is to spread Jeet Kune Do to people that don't know about it, and create a program that allows them to see the beauty that we all see. And to help the art grow and proliferate. And I'm a professional martial artist. This is what I do for a living. So this is how I feed my family. So I'm not going to apologize 1 second for success or for being able to market a program that serves the need and make money off it. Of course, that would be really stupid of me not to do that. I have to feed my kids and take care of my wife and live a good life.
Why do you think, right? Why do you think that JKD people have not yet made that connection between professional success and Bruce Lee? Do they think that Bruce Lee died a pauper?
I really don't know where the misunderstanding there is, you know. I think at the end of the day, we think about it this way too, Dwight, a lot of people, who teach Jeet Kune Do, there's not that many actual Jeet Kune Do businesses. There's a lot of people who teach in garages. There's a lot of people who teach in backyards. Hey, I started like that. I still don't have a regular school. I still teach out of my own private facility, one-on-one. And that's maybe something that's great for certain people. But then the idea becomes, how do you get outside of that? There's a lot of people I know that have full-on schools that are teaching Jeet Kune Do, and they're doing great. And they have to incorporate business systems into play to do that. They have to incorporate marketing. It's a business. You got to learn it. And then the other way of business is outside of a school. How do you sell a program, right? And you sell a program. What's the key thing about a program? It's about serving. How do I serve other fellow martial artists to understand these concepts and principles that I've been so lucky to learn and live my life off of? And if they can benefit them, then everything's energy. It's a fair trade, right? So here's a program. That's what you pay for, and hopefully it serves you. And if it serves you, that's the key thing. And that's the goal that we're about. And there's nothing wrong with making money.
But that's a concept that maybe even on a national level is hard to grasp. You know. So here's the other thing. In the bio in Black Belt Magazine, on you, here's what it said. Now remember, I'm devil's advocate in here, okay?
You got it, man.
I'm just playing with you. So here's what it says. Let me see if I can find it.
So you're Al Pacino and I'm Keanu Reeves in the movie? Is that what's happening?
Oh, so you've seen it?
Of course.
Okay. Weigh in on the controversy.
Of which controversy?
The
Devil's Advocate, the movie, or which movie we're talking about?
Oh, no. Okay. You know, you said Pacino and Keanu Reeves, and I heard Pacino and Brad Pitt.
Oh, I got you.
Right. Okay. But I did want to get to so you haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
No, not yet.
Okay. But you did hear about the whole upset thing.
Sure.
Okay. Have you looked at it? Any thoughts on it?
I mean, I saw the scene, and you know, you take a look at the scene, and you know that's not Bruce Lee. We all know that. So I mean, it's not going to change my perception of it. I think, as a matter of fact, if you think about it, with all the reactions to it, it actually has brought it out to more light, and now more people are questioning it. If nobody even reacted, nobody would have said anything. And at the end of the day, if you look at it, of course, when I look at it, I'm like, come on, what is this? That's not Bruce Lee, you know? And I can see why the family's upset. I talked to Phoebe Lee the other day on Phoebe Lee. She's super upset. Everybody's upset. And I can understand why they're upset. Their relatives and how he's being portrayed. Even I was upset for a little bit. But like I said, how quickly can I let it go? Because it has nothing to do with me. I can't change it. Can't do anything about it. I'm confident in what I know. So, I mean, you know.
Well, the thing that I enjoyed about it is that it gives us another opportunity to put the truth about Bruce Lee and Jeet Kune Do out there.
Sure. Absolutely.
You know, and that's what we live for.
Absolutely.
Right. So, I mean, if we want the easy life, then we should be doing something else.
Sure. Absolutely.
You know, right?
Absolutely.
So on the postcard that I use for today's program, I tried to show like a sampling of the video material that's out there for you, right? How come there's so much material? Was there a structure behind that? Or did you just go with whatever came your way, or what?
No. Everything that I put out, everything that I do is organized in such a fashion that people can easily understand it, consume it, and then eventually teach it, because that's the point of material, right? So, for example, I have my series with Masters Magazine. So the Masters Magazine series, the first series I came out with was 3 Hands Deep. and the theme there was the boxing, trapping, and wrestling range, the mid-range of the fight. Then I came out with Combat Chess, which is going to be out in September, which is the long range. So that's how do we bridge into that range. Then in 2020, we're going to release Body Like Hand, which is Tai Chi, wrestling, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is all up and close. So somebody gets to see how do we go from, you know, be like water and go through all and train it together. And then when Jeet Kune Do for black belts, I did a similar concept, but not getting so deep into it, but more of the tactics and strategies. How do we utilize, how to enter the 5 ranges of combat, the 5 times to hit somebody, how do we use perception, break rhythm, set rhythm, how do we sharpen our most usable tools, and how do we do drills to make ourselves better at it. And so every video series that I do has a theme behind it, and the theme is to serve a need. And that's how I at the same time, the video is curriculum.
Okay. A couple of things came out of that. Let me go back to the bio box, because here's what it says. It says you teach Jeet Kune Do, Wing Chun, Tai Chi, Savate, Kali Sarada, boxing, wrestling, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Now, is that absolutely accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I have instructorships in all of those.
Okay. But do you understand why I'm asking you that? Because that's separation.
I got you.
You see?
I got you. Yeah. So to answer that question, if somebody comes for jiu-jitsu, I'll teach them jiu-jitsu, right? What I teach my students is the ability to flow from range to range. So there's no separation in it. Now, we may have moments where we specialize in something to learn a skill. So, okay, we're going to work on boxing these next 3 months. That doesn't mean we drop the knife fighting. That doesn't mean we drop the wrestling. We have the general knowledge base, and then now we're going to specify in boxing. Okay, then let's work on Savate. Now let's work more on Kali. Let's work a little bit more on the Wing Chun. I have never taught other than a couple of my students who really wanted to learn the traditional Wing Chun, and there's only 2 of those, and it's Clay and Bev and Daryl Burton. And
who just signed in from Montana.
Yeah, they're on the road. They're on the road. They were out actually training with Michelle Watterson, the UFC fighter, and it was very successful. So there's a few of my students that are interested in some more of the specific traditional kind of arts, like the Tai Chi. There's only 3 or 4 of them that I teach, because it takes a long time to teach them that. But the main thing that I'm teaching is Jeet Kune Do, which is, okay, how are we going to take... If I was to sit down, I mean, I'm an obsessive person. I'm training like 6-7 hours a day for many, many years, and just always consuming. But if I teach art by art to people, nobody's really it's gonna be really hard to get it across. So very few people will be able to absorb that. And those people are the ones that are kind of here with me, staying with me, spending time with me. Do you feel what I mean?
Yeah.
But JKD is really where it's at, because that was the concept. So I wanted to understand boxing better. So I have a pro boxing coach, and we get in, we box. Jiu-jitsu, it's the ground game. I want to understand the ground game. Am I going to go to the ground? I know all the people thinking, oh, in a street fight, don't go to the ground. Exactly. I never want to go to the ground. But what if I did? Can I get back up? So again, training and learning that art as best as possible. I train Sarada with Angel's Disciples with Grandmaster Darren Tabone. I love the art. It's awesome. But what are the elements that I can take out of it and put it into the mix and the blend that we're talking about? Everything comes off defanging the snake, and then how do we develop our attributes? How do we make it better? It's an endless cycle of how good we can get, how much we can train, as long as we're getting better than we were the day before. But the problem, and I see where your question is going, the problem comes when we break it by art by art. So the key thing, I think, in developing a student is, how do we take them from day one to the next and next and next and next? What do they learn when?
Right.
If I just say, oh man, we're going to just do weapons for a month or 6 months only, and that's what I start the student with, what if they got in a ground fight? What if it was a boxing match and there was no, a fist fight, there was no weapons? So it's like, okay, we start with knife fighting. Knife fighting starts to develop your attributes, your athleticism, your timing, your coordination. All right, after that, let's learn how to deal with the jab. Okay, after that, let's learn how to deal with the clinch. Let's learn what happens if we go to the ground. And then you have a flow. You go from the knife, you go from the punching, maybe some destructions, maybe into a clinch. You hit the ground, get back up. Now they're learning where the fight could go. And then you start to add pieces to that. You start adding the trapping, you start adding the destructions, you start adding the timing. and you start to develop them, I think, organically like that.
Yeah.
And that works the best.
Yeah. The criticism, I think, about the black belt, Jeet Kune Do for black belts was because, like, okay, so here's the thing. When I read it, it reminded me of something from 30 something years ago, where they were calling the Filipino martial arts, and some people were actually promoting arnis as the art within your art.
Okay.
You see, so it reminded me of that, because I started out in traditional martial art. I gave it up for Jeet Kune Do. So somebody's gonna say that you're not encouraging people to become Jeet Kune Do. You're giving karate people ammunition to add Jeet Kune Do to what they're doing and go into competition with us.
Sure. I'm making people better. That's what I care about. Labels, and that doesn't mean anything to me. I don't care if you're karate, taekwondo, kung fu, master fooling you. It doesn't matter what your style is, where you come from. You know, it's martial arts is martial arts, and cultural.
I'm gonna use that one. Don't think I didn't get that one.
You know, cultural divides and stylistic divides. So everything if martial arts is like Lego blocks. So say you're a taekwondo person right here, and another person's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu person. Let's say another person's a boxer. Okay, we just use those three. So they brought this set knowledge that's come in, and specificity and skills that they're really good at. Now, I'm providing them a bridge with how to deal with, okay, a boxing-based attack, a kicking-based attack, a grappling-based attack, a weapons-based attack, a mass attack, a mindset. So if they already have a skill that they're really good at, why would they abandon it? They have an art that they love. Why would they abandon it? Why would I make them want to give up that art that they love to do another art? That doesn't make any sense. Instead, I would say, here's what you're good at. Keep that. Let's add some wrestling defense. Okay, now nobody's going to take you down. Let's give you some destructions for the punching that a boxer might throw at you. Now you're not afraid to kick somebody in the head if you're a taekwondo person, because you could kick somebody in the head really well. So now we start to functionalize the art and give you Lego blocks to take what you're good at, fit it, because the whole idea is that you have to be able to adapt and be like water to what you're going to do, but don't give up your strengths and what you love. That's just would cause another divide.
Well, see, the problem is you're causing people to deal with reality.
It's truth.
Right?
It's just the truth.
Yeah.
Truth can't have labels, geographic preferences.
Yeah.
They can't have that.
Yeah.
It's the truth. So the truth is, we all want to get better, and that's the whole thing. I work with Master Herb Perez, who runs Gold Medal Martial Arts, 1992 Olympic gold medalist. He's been a student of mine for over a decade. And the first thing we did was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So you don't have to get taken down to the ground. And now here's some knife and some weapons. Yeah. Instantly, he already has footwork and time. He's an Olympic gold medalist.
Right.
I mean, that's best in the world. You know what I mean? And so he has a ridiculous timing, spatial relationship. His legs move. His coordination is great. So it's easy to take somebody like that and start giving them blocks that maybe they're not there. And then they have to then be open to absorb it, right? Because then there's a lot of people who will be like, oh man, why do I need to add this to my art? It already exists. So that's the flip side of the argument. But I'm not here to convince anybody from either side. I'm not here to motivate them from either side. I'm like, here's the truth. If you like it, then that's what's necessary. If you don't like it, stick to what you're doing. It's all good, because everything can still exist together.
Yeah, there you go again. Coexistence. You're a high-minded idealist.
Well, I don't want to get dragged down in politics, and I don't want to get dragged down into this is better or that is better. We're beyond that, right?
I'm with you, man.
I mean, there's guys I've met that have a reverse punch that you don't want to be touched with. That you don't want to be touched with. I mean, they'll smash your face. And the timing is so good. So oftentimes people will be like, oh, karate doesn't work. And what you see with the kids screaming and all that kind of stuff, I get it. Okay, there's like a different idea, but there's an old man who's hitting the makiwara 1,000 times a day, right? He's got that stroke down. So he just needs to hit you one time with it.
Yeah.
So the idea is, what are you good at? What can you do? And then do you have a solution for the critical path when everything goes wrong? So if you do, and you can pull off and would beat everybody with one reverse punch, go for it. That's what your art
Yeah.
is. That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, when I was a kid, in Barbados, just from magazine articles, Kyokushin Katsuaki Sato, that was my boy. You know, and then I dealt with some of the local Kyokushin guys, and they were some mean fighters, man.
absolutely.
You know, yeah.
Absolutely. I go to China all the time. And when I go to China, when I went with my Sifu Bender, we went on a Wing Chun tour. And we went to see a lot of the different Wing Chun schools there. So everywhere from Foshan, we even went to Shaolin, we went to Chen Village, we went to Hong Kong. And the cool part was we got to go and do Qizao with the different people that were there.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it, I can hold my own, right? But the thing is, okay, here's an arm drag, I take you back, I choke you. The thing is that's there, and that's the blend of what's available. If I stand there, and some people have been doing it a lot longer than me, they have better structure, they move me back, and I keep playing the same game, doesn't make any sense. So you always beat me at that game. But if I can switch and feel when it is, what the timing angle and distance is, and switch it,
Yeah.
it works out really well. Against a wrestler, same kind of thing. Okay, wrestler, okay, can I get dropped down and hit you with an uppercut as you drop low? But
Right.
then I need to have that wrestling defense, you know? And so it's a wonderful puzzle, right? It's a beautiful puzzle. And,
It's all chess, yeah.
It's all chess, man. That's how I look at it. It's an intelligent man's game.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a couple of questions about the article, the Black Belt article.
Sure.
Right? About the section on strategy. So if you guys, oh shoot, I have it over in the other room. But if you guys have not seen it, it's the current issue of. I put a picture up of it because I picked it up at Barnes and Noble before I went to see the Tarantino movie. So that's the current Black Belt issue. You guys should really check it out. So in there, in the section on strategy, then there's a subsection about stages, right? And you mentioned 5 stages: preliminary analysis, pot shotting, engagement, rally, and then follow-up / finish. So my question was about this: the pot shotting thing, and you refer to it as throwing out a garbage hand. Is in a street fight, do I really have any business throwing out a garbage hand to see what he does? Or is that more of a sparring tactic?
Okay, there's 2 kinds of fights. One is a duel, and one is a guy walks up to you. If a guy walks up to you and the targets are open, you're going to hit him. That's obvious. He walks up, I say, hey, stop. If he moves into my radius of my tool, he's getting a shot in the groin, and he's getting fingers in the eyes. So that's the street fight. Or there's a reaction in a street fight. Somebody jumps you, you react, and now you're in the fight. So that's like a common, you could say, more self-defense kind of scenarios where it's not really a duel. A duel in a street fight is, you can be in a street, you could be in a sport, you could be in the ring, wherever. But that's when, okay, there's a moment, the guy puts his hands up, and now you're like, okay, I got a fight on my hands.
Yeah.
And when you have a fight on your hands, a challenge, a street fight, whatever it may be, now you have to employ a little bit more tactical approach where you have to do you have to do a quick preliminary analysis. And even in a street fight, you see somebody approaching you, I mean, in a self-defense situation, and the preliminary analysis is your spatial awareness, right? Your situational awareness. So first of all, how did those people get so close to you, right? Can you avoid them? What can you do to intercept the situation from happening in the first place? But that's not always the case. So now the guy's coming towards you, and he's what's the most 90%? The hands are down, the guy approaches you like this, and bang, you just intercept, you just hit. Now the other part is, you didn't see it, you get hit from the side, or somebody jumps you. That's how I got that scar over here. So you don't see it, and it comes, and now you're in it. So now you react, or you respond by the training that you've installed, and now you're just in the flow of it. Those are actually a lot easier to deal with than a duel, because you click right into it. There's no time to think. The other aspect is, okay, now you've got another martial artist who says, hey, let's spar. Or you're in a street fight, you can't, okay, look, I don't promote street fights. You got to get away from it, talk your way out of it. No need to fight, all that kind of stuff. But there's times when you may not have that choice. And when you don't have that choice, the guy puts his hands up, you quickly have to do a preliminary analysis. Okay, what's the stance like? What's the shape like? What's his aggression and anger and emotional state like? Is he right lead or is he left lead? Is he crouching like a wrestler, or is he standing up high like a Thai boxer? Or is he taking a low street fighter stance with the right hand cocked down and kind of, loaded to swing the big looping club punch, right? So what is it? Is there weapons? Is there multiple opponents? All that, and you have to get that really quickly. And then after that stage, then you have to see what are his subconscious reaction patterns. So I throw out a quick shot and I see, does he block with the front hand? Does he block with the rear hand? This is just gathering information. Does he back off? Does he instantly come back and try to counter me? So that tells me, what is this guy gonna do? So I throw a quick shot out there and I see, oh, he raises his hand. Okay, next time I just feint that, kick him in the groin. Fight's over. And so that's kind of the idea I'm kind of getting at with that part of the preliminary analysis of the pot shot. Because the pot shot, even, okay, you're in the ring and you're boxing, why do you throw a jab? You throw a jab out to see, okay, what's his defense like? Where does he put his hands? What does he do with his feet? What does he do with his head? What does he do? So that you could set up your combinations, which are going to come later, which are based off his reactions, because you never want to force a combination on somebody. That'd be really silly. That's kind of like taking a round peg and trying to put it in a square hole. You're trying to force something, and you can't be like water if you're forcing.
Yeah. In the same magazine, there's an article about Kali destructions, a thing with which you are very familiar, right? And the author also mentions stages, right? And he refers to the stages as entry, follow-up, and finish. Now, I know where he got that from, okay? But how come his stages are different from your stages?
I mean, what breaks it down for him in his entry? Maybe he's doing these things and he hasn't thought about them and written them down, or maybe he's not aware of them, or whatever it may be. I can't be in his head as to what he thinks.
Did you ever come across entry, follow-up, and finish as stages of combat?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, entry, follow-up, and finish are just a smaller piece of what I just described.
Right.
They're just a chunk out of the fighting formula.
Yeah.
So that's it's the piece of the whole thing. So before you enter, you have to do a preliminary analysis, and then after you do a preliminary analysis, maybe before I even probe, he starts to attack. So you have a primary or secondary. Primary, I go first. Secondary, he goes first, and I counterattack. So primary is the 5 ways of attack, and secondary, the 5 times to counterattack, and then you can counter with the 5 ways. So the idea becomes, do you understand your tactics and strategies, and are they installed so they're a natural instinct? I think the key word is installation of that. And that was Bruce Lee's genius, right? Because it was, how do we play time and space? How do we create reactions from the subconscious mind and manipulate them so we know where they're going to be in the future? And then based on that, I'm ahead of the game, I'm intercepting. If I throw a shot out and I see that you parry and you back off, that tells me you're going back, bang, and the next one I come in, I can chase you down. If I notice that I jab and you want to come forward, or before I even get that shot off, I come forward, I can feint it, make you come forward, and Jeet tech your lead leg because I've drawn the step. So, I mean, that's the fun part about it being like a game of chess.
Yeah.
Because there has to be a strategy that you utilize. I mean, Miyamoto Musashi was the greatest strategist of all time. That's why he was so good. He was never even trained.
But he didn't have a UFC fight record.
Well, I don't think you need to have a UFC fight record. But at the same, but I'll say something about that though, is that getting in there with an MMA fighter and moving around and just maybe do all hands only or kicking only or grappling only, and then the mix of it all will give you timing, angle, and distance of a changing opponent.
Yeah.
And then if you can equate your moves to that timing, angle, and distance, you can hit the Bill G off their jab, but at the same time be ready for a sprawl if he feints and goes underneath to shoot on you. And you can absorb their timing, angle, and distance. That's why I think sparring is so necessary, because you have to have sparring because you got to learn to take hits, get hit, roll with the punches. But then at the same time, you're looking at the street effectiveness. It's a part of installing your tactics and strategies under pressure when somebody's actually resisting you, changing through all the ranges, and then now you have a much more dynamic a picture to paint.
Yeah. All right. So I just got my first warning that I got 20% power left on the phone. So we're going to have to start closing this down. What is that thing about no UFC fight record? That's another internet controversy. You know, Bruce Lee sucks because he didn't fight professionally, right? So, but we'll dismiss that because you don't get involved.
I mean, dude, it is what it is, right? So do you have to have a UFC fight record? I don't think so. But at the same time, UFC fighters are tough. So if you don't know how to deal with them, you're in trouble.
Yep. Okay. So here's another thing from the article. Let's see. It says the appropriate structure comes from mastering your posture and your body, right? And then it goes on and it says this moment marks your opportunity to use forward pressure. And then here's what happens. It says the forward pressure could be in the form of a straight blast from Wing Chun, a takedown from wrestling, punch in sequence from boxing, or a barrage of kicks from Taekwondo. So my devil's advocate question is, what is being said here? Why is it written there? Because somebody's going to say, but that's not Jeet Kune Do. He's talking about techniques from different arts. So they're going to go back to that separation thing. So why is it written that way? Are you just using familiar ideas for people who are not Jeet Kune Do?
I'm writing it for everybody out there because the thing is this. Okay, you're a wrestler and I teach you, let's say you do a destruction and you're a wrestler, then what's your greatest strength to put forward pressure?
Wrestling.
It's to shoot. Just shoot, dump, and drop me down. And most people don't understand that a wrestler can dump you without going down himself. Greco-Roman, the knee doesn't touch the ground. So that's your best way to apply forward pressure. If you're a Wing Chun person, your best way to apply forward pressure is the blast. If you're a Taekwondo person, the best way to apply forward pressure might be with kicks. So the idea was the concept I was getting across. Now, if you can apply the forward pressure and change, maybe I might blast, I might hit the groin, I might come back up, might shoot. I don't know what I need to do. If I have a set idea of what I must do every single time, I'm not limitless anymore, and I put myself in a box. So the idea is that, can I install all these different patterns into my subconscious? And once they're installed in my subconscious, let it do it when it's needed. Because if I come in to start thinking about it, I'm in the past. I'm going to be slow. I'm not going to be in the moment, let alone in the future.
I'm smiling because I love how you explain things. I really do.
Well, thank you.
All right, so let's finish this up. In your experience, what's been the easiest thing to teach people about Jeet Kune Do? And then conversely, what's been the most difficult thing? And I apologize in advance if the power cuts out before. So answer quickly before the power cuts out.
So I think if you look at across the board, it's the concept. You have to understand. I really believe that you understand a concept first, and then you come with the technique. So let the strategy come first, and then once you understand the strategy of combat and fighting, you have the bigger picture. Then you can start the tools, and then the tools got to be simple. That's the most important thing. Like a Bill G is the queen of all moves. I make everything off the Bill G. And if you can't see, you're in trouble. If you flinch and put a hand up, you can't protect your groin. And then I can start to steal beats in time. So if you understand strategy and the simple, most effective tools, and at the same time understand your critical path of where you're weak. Like as Sun Tzu says, know yourself and know your enemy, and you're sure to succeed.
Yes.
Know yourself, don't know your enemy 50-50. Don't know yourself and don't know your enemy, you're doomed to fail. Yeah. So a lot of that has to do with understanding who you are. What are your strengths and weaknesses? How do you act and react under tension and pressure? When are you successful? When do you lose? What do you say to yourself when you're winning? What do you say to yourself when you're losing? So that's understanding who you are, your energetic psychology and your physiology. Then on the other side, you take a look at your opponent and you see, okay, what am I matched up against? What is this block? What's their mentality? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? How do they deal with opportunities? How do they deal with threats? And that's the whole part of why we need perception, because in my article, the big thing I write about, and I believe the the focal point for everything, and all my work with the military and police is about perception and being in the moment and weaponizing your awareness.
Yep.
How can you intercept somebody if you're not in the moment? If you're thinking, you can't intercept. You can't be wholly and totally in the moment, ready to act and react naturally. So a big part of that has to be, where's your mind and how do you deal with pressure, not just your techniques and sharpening your tools. So it depends, I think, across the board. When I'm working with military and law enforcement, that's the first thing that they love the most, is that mindset. Because they understand, they know they're in it all the time, that, oh man, my heart starts to pound. I better focus on my breath and bring myself down. I better get out of my head, which has either got me in the past or worrying about the future, not in the moment. And then they're their own worst enemy, killing themselves. So the development of you see, Jeet Kune Do, I mean, it's just a name, right? It's the totality of martial arts and the self-discovery that we're really after, and how can we adapt and react and make ourselves comfortable in uncomfortable situations is the goal of all martial arts. So at the end of the day, right? So what our path we take to it is up to you to choose and find, because it's the journey is in the path, because there's no destination. That's why everyday training is a great freaking day. Everyday training is because, you know, there's 5 stages, right? You know, you've heard the 5 stages of learn, practice, master, functionalize, and maintain. But there's another 5 that I'd like everybody to think about, and that's explore, then discover. Then from after you explore and you discover, what did you learn? And then how did you grow? And then what are you creating? Because the man, the living being, the creating individual is far more important than any style or system. Those are easy words to say. But if you can find that within yourself and not be confined to, hey, this is what Bruce Lee said and this is what it needs to be, you're putting it in a box. What worked for him may not work for you, but follow the path. If you follow the path, you'll find the concepts and principles that are there for you. Now, at the same time, I'm still advocating interception and destructions and Bill G's and longest weapon, closest target.
Yeah.
Those are universal concepts. You know, Bruce Lee didn't invent them. He researched and figured them out because they're truth. You can have that in Taekwondo. You can have that in Muay Thai. Of going from Jiu-Jitsu to a if you can adapt all those and make them one molecule instead of this is Chisao, now we're doing the clinch, and now we're on the ground doing jiu-jitsu. Now you are evolving as a person and you are adapting. So if I can use Chisao to keep a guy away from getting from my neck clinch, but as soon as if he drops underneath me because of vertical structure, I know I can pull guard so I can get back up and then get back into what needs to be applied for the situation and scenario, based on what is happening versus what my idea is. If my idea is, this is what I must do. If my idea is, this is what I should do. If you should, you're going to should all over yourself. And you don't want to say, I should do this, I should do that, you know? And I think the cool part is there's form and formlessness. So you have to take a form and learn it, develop it, and install it. But how you express that formlessness, I'm going to do it differently than you are. But if we both try to look like each other, we're no longer doing anything of any benefit to anybody.
Brilliant. All right, let's wrap it up there in case the power runs out completely. Thank you so much. This is, I'm going to push this all over the place. This is some priceless stuff that everybody's got to hear.
Thank you very much, man. Once again, I think you're doing a wonderful job with the show, and everybody watching, the feedback that I get, bringing the communities together. I think it's a wonderful thing, and you and I have discussed a project that's coming up. As soon as I'm ready to talk about it, we can let everybody know what we're planning on doing. But I think that you really put forward a platform for people of all lineages to come together, because the last thing I want to say is, in Jeet Kune Do, guys, we're all on the same team. If I have an article in Black Belt Magazine, then somebody reads it and says, what is Jeet Kune Do? They're going to go find a Jeet Kune Do instructor down the street from them, and they're not going to look to see if this was an original Jeet Kune Do person, if this was in Seattle, if this is JKD Concepts. Then none of that stuff actually matters. We're on the same team because we're branches of the same friggin' tree. And if we don't come together, we're faced with this art being exterminated. We're brand new. We're absolutely brand new. So maybe you call something one thing, maybe I call it something another thing. Maybe you like to do one thing one way, maybe I like to do another thing another way. it can all work and coexist together. Because at the end of the day, we are still pushing forth Bruce Lee's ideas and his concepts. And we're in the business of courage, confidence, and clarity. That's the real business we're in. We're not in the business of Jeet Kune Do. We're in the business of helping people find out who they are. And it's a wonderful thing, you know what I mean? So God bless to everybody. Dwight, thank you very much. Keep up the great work, man. I love watching your shows. I love listening to all the people that have come on because I learn something every time. They have something wonderful to offer each and every time. We have a wonderful community of people. And now it's just about what can we do to stop cutting each other down and instead be like, how do we lift each other up?
Good deal. All right, man. You take care.
Take care, brother.
All right. That's what it's about. Okay. So that was episode 81 of the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues. Come back. I'm going to recharge the phone. Come back at 6 p.m. and we'll be on with Dino Orfanos. And just like Sifu Singh said, we'll get another perspective and see how much of it is the same, how much of it is contrasting. But like he says, we're all branches of the same Jeet Kune Do tree. So this is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel, signing off. Hopefully I'll see a lot of you again at 6 p.m. Take care.